Good day. Let us take a moment to discuss affordability assessments and what is the requirements on a microlender when it comes to affordability assessments. So first and foremost, affordability assessments is a legal requirement by the National Credit Act. You have to conduct a affordability assessment in terms of the National Credit Act as a microlender before granting a loan to a consumer. Now, in order for you to do this, you're going to need a couple of things. So you're going to need proof of income from the consumer. This is a direct requirement by the regulator, and they also specify that you should have at least 3 months of income, proof of income rather, available for assessment at the time of granting the loan to the consumer. Now, this can be in any form, in pay slips, bank statements, or any other form that the consumer can provide to you to prove his income and the source thereof, of course. Now, we suggest at Quinn Pay that you get a combination of these things, so bank statements and pay slips, or whatever other form of proof that the consumer can provide you with. This then allows you, or puts you rather, into a position where you can assess the bank account validity, that is where the consumer's income is being paid into, and who his employer is, and you're not just going onto a bank statement. In the next session from this, we're going to be looking at fraudulent bank statements and how to check for fraudulent bank statements. I'm going to be showing you in the last session how to check that the bank account statement is not fraudulent. Being it as that may, let's get back to the topic of this discussion. So now, assuming that you have your 3 months of proof of income, now you have to do the affordability. We often find that with our current set of clients is that they ask for the bank statements, but they don't bother reading the bank statements. It is vitally important that you actually read the bank statement. You see, a bank statement is not only, or does not only serve the purpose as to prove the consumer's proof of income, but there's vital little tidbits on the bank statement that you can use. So our suggestion is that you go through this bank statement. Now, this might sound like a tedious task to go through when a consumer applies for a loan. But remember, Quinn Pay has been developed in such a way that you only have to do this once. Once you've done it, you've done it. It's in the system, the information is there. The next time the consumer comes for a loan, it's simply a verification of the existing data that's already in the system and available to you. So our suggestion here is that you really spend time in conducting a proper affordability. Now, often we find that these affordabilities are wishy-washy and they are washed over as quick as possible to save time. So the consumer is in a hurry and he wants the loan. Now, the difference between a consumer paying you and not paying you is more often than not, it comes down to the quality of the affordability. So when I do assessments on our client records, we do spot checks throughout the system, not to check up on our clients, but rather to assist them and guide them to do better business. We find that more often than not, the affordabilities are not done properly. And this is why we specifically hold power meetup sessions on a weekly basis where we, in some of these sessions, educate our clients and their staff on how to conduct proper affordabilities. Affordabilities are a vital part of your risk profiling of the client or the consumer. Now moving on, you capture the customer's income, you'll capture his all his expenses that he declares to you. And this is once again where Quinn Pay is very powerful. We've built in a buffer setting into the system where you can buffer the consumer's income or the declared income by a percentage, because we know that everyone lies. So you and I, we lie to the banks when we apply for credit. Why do we do it? Because we think in our minds, it's a human instinct that if we declare less expenses than we actually have, our disposable income, the income on that bottom line, it increases, and then the bank will provide us with more credit. Your consumer does exactly the same thing. So in order to buffer that and make provision for that, we have a fancy little loan percentage setting that we've built into QuinnPay, where you can go and set it at 80% or 90%, and you can build in a little buffer between what the consumer is declaring to you and what you are saying you're going to be accepting as the consumer's disposable income. 90% of the NCR's findings with regards to their desktop orders were specifically related to credit providers not taking into consideration the credit bureau expenses of the consumer when conducting the affordability. Now here again, QuinnPay makes it so simple for you because we pull the credit bureau information automatically through onto the client's affordability. Now you can then verify this information, and if the consumer has an arrangement with his or her credit providers, then you can simply just remove it, overwrite it, or change the amount to the appropriate arrangement amount. We often get told by consumers that, but I'm not paying that. Well, sir, ma'am, you should be paying that, and for that reason the NCR and the National Credit Act requires you as a credit provider to take this into consideration. Once the affordability is conducted appropriately and completed as it should be done, and you are comfortable with it, it will spit out a number at the bottom of that, like I said, the disposable income number. And that number is what you can provide your client or the consumer a loan for. So that is what the consumer can afford to pay you back monthly. You also find that sometimes clients are not happy with this and they override this functionality in their settings in our system so as to provide the client with credit even though he cannot afford it. This is obviously not suggested by us because the affordability is the key to your success in this business. If you have any questions with regards to affordability, let us know. If you need your staff to be trained on how to conduct proper affordability, if you're a client of QuinnPay, you can simply just join us on our monthly session where we do specific training with regards to these type of things. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next session where we will be discussing fraudulent bank statements, etc., and where we're going to go through the bizarreness of what people do to provide you with fraudulent documents. I'm looking forward to our next session. Have a fantastic day. Cheers for now.